I'd like to now invite Mr. Michael Trump of the Environmental Protection Consultant of the Government of Saxony-Anhalt to tell us about challenges in POP remediation on floodplains as secondary sources.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Trump. Thank you for the introduction. I'm part of the State Office for Contaminated Sites in Saxony-Anhalt, and also part of the LindaNet network. Similar to HCH in EU, this is the second time that we now see us in person. I'm very happy for that. So we already just had the welcoming workshop 2 years ago, I think it was now, and until then it was all video conference. So I'm really, really happy to be here again. So I'm not talking about the site specifically. We're also part of the HCH in EU project, but I'm talking about more of the problem of floodplains or contaminated floodplains. We are looking at 2 sites here. One is the Bitterfeld mega site, which is the German site, also part of the HCH in EU project. The other one is the already mentioned Saco River Basin. We have very similar situation here. We've got the Bitterfeld mega site, which is the largest contaminated site in Eastern Germany. There's a vast variety of different products being produced in the past. And of course, the responded waste that had to be dumped somewhere. We've got 15 residual pits that were results from the open cast mining that were used as those dump sites. HCH, so from the lindane production, the waste, we assume about 88 tons of waste that was dumped, 88,000 tons, sorry, of waste that was dumped in this pit and also in a clay pit called Titanteiche. In Italy, we are looking at the Colleferro industrial site, which produced lindane until 1980. They already also dumped HCHs in pits, so it was an unorderly dumping site as well. They have no clear measurements of how much HCH really is there, but they're estimating around, as you can see here, 30,000 to 60,000 tons of HCH waste. But I now want to get your focus away from the actual sites, which was, as I say, a historical point of view. So of course we had to deal with those sites. Remediation efforts in the past were focused on the sites, on soil remediation on site. But we now have a different problem on our hand, which is maybe even larger. We are looking at the European Water Framework Directive, which gave a complete new perspective on how we looked at rivers. We are going away from single discharge to a more widespread look at the whole water body. So we have the good status, ecological and chemical, that we had to look at. And what we found out is that the historic contaminations play a very important role on the good status of those rivers. So we don't only have the ecological standpoint, we don't only have current discharges into the water bodies, but our old dump sites, our old chemical brownfields, they have a significant impact on those river bodies. As you can see here on the picture on the bottom, it's kind of like the comic version of how the system works. So we've got the primary source, which was the former or still active industrial site that of course was the main contaminant in the river system. We heard about that when we look at our partners from Saragossa. We heard that from Italy, but also from Galicia. We've got rivers always in the vicinity of those industrial sites. But now it changes. We have, even if we eliminate the primary source, we don't achieve the good status of according to the Water Framework Directive. We've got new sources that are now the floodplains. So what are the mechanics behind this new contamination? We have the depositing of waste that was in the past, but now we had flooding events. We already mentioned that before in another talk. This widespread distribution in unorderly fashion into the floodplains. We don't know where are the hotspots in the floodplains. It's vastly heterogenic. the contamination sites. We have irrigation processes. This is something that happened in Italy. So they used the water from the Sacco River for irrigation purposes and then spread soluble substances, but also suspended matter from the river water onto the floodplains, onto agricultural fields, etc. We've got river maintenance, which had to take place, of course, to maintain the orderly flow of the rivers. So they took sediments and put it onto the river embankments that further spread the contamination that was inside the sediment. When we're talking about persistent organic pollutants, they're bound to the sediments, they're bound to the soil, and are now being spread into the floodplains. So when you now look at the picture, we don't only have, and in some cases, we don't even have anymore the primary source of contamination, but we've got a new source. We've got the secondary sources in the floodplains that are now kind of challenging the aim of having a good status in the river systems. Now, just a little look at the scale that we are talking about. On the left-hand side, you see the Mulde River floodplain. We're talking about roughly 4,000 or more than 4,500 hectares of potentially contaminated floodplains. It is not certain where the contamination is. We don't know how high the contamination in certain areas is. This is where HCH in EU made the first step for us to get a grasp on how to tackle those issues, how to even understand where the contamination is. On the right-hand side, you see the Sacco River Basin, very similar situation with lots of agricultural usage in the left and right-hand side of the river system. So we have got a huge new scale of problems at our hands right now. We have a conflict in interest. We've got the ecological standpoint. So nature conservation wants to give the rivers, of course, more space to develop into the floodplains, which is great. But when we have a contamination in the floodplains, we fear that the contamination might further be put back into the river system and further downstream. We've got tourism and agriculture that wants to use the floodplains for their individual purposes. And we've got flood control that we have to keep in mind when dealing and managing those river floodplains. We've got this huge new dimension. This sheer scale of the problem is even larger than the mega sites we had in the past. And from this derives the necessity to develop new methods and strategies how to deal with these problems. We can't rely on historical use like normal sampling and analysis methods. We have to find new ways to even grasp the sheer amount of waste that is located in the floodplains. And this, of course, poses a huge financial challenge on all the partners on how to deal with this problem. And we fear we need to, or we see the necessity to adapt the funding framework in the European Union and on national and local level, as we need to put soil remediation of the floodplains back onto the agenda to deal with the problems at hand and to solve the problems of the European Water Framework Directive. If not, we will fail to achieve those very important goals in the future. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you can ask.
John, quickly.
Talk about biodiversity.
This is another factor, yes. So there's lots of different aspects we need to consider. Biodiversity, of course, is depending on the persistent organic pollutant also influenced in a bad way. And the main aspect is the many different interests that at the moment don't talk to each other in total. So everybody is doing its own thing, and we have to talk and develop a strategy to tackle those problems together.
But you are already a biodiversity area. That means
yes,
there should be really efforts.
Yes, we have the nature code. Yes, that comes there as well. So we have very strict rules that we have to follow as well. There is not the same as in the Sacco River region, where we have mainly agricultural areas. We've got nature conservation areas in the Mulde River floodplain. So we've got problems of handling the manure, for example. We are cutting the grass to keep the nature conservation aspect of the river Mulde floodplain. And so we have the problem that we don't know how to handle the grass that we cut, for example, the pop contamination of the cut grass is a huge problem. We were thinking about using it as in biogas production, for example, but this poses lots of juridical challenges, and it's not feasible in an economical standpoint at the moment, for example. So there are lots of challenges arising from this pop contamination as it is now.